Oh, there you are, Perry. I'm John Redland with a retro review of Phineas and Ferb, the movie Across the Second Dimension. People voted on a poll that I put up on Twitter. This and Atlantis the Lost Empire won said poll. And I had people messaging me, well, we voted for Phineas and Ferb because we expect you to rip it apart because it's a kid's show and you're just going to hate it. But joke's on you, a little bit of history. Back when I dated a girl back in late 2009, early 2010, she had a son who was about 3 years old, and he liked the show. And I sat down and watched it with him, and I was like, this is pretty funny. Now, I do admit that I'm totally out of the target audience for said show, and always have been. It's just very much a kid's show, and there's a lot of musical montages and a lot of silliness and everything. But you know what? There's a cool, adult feel about this show in this sense. One, there's a lot of adult jokes that go over everybody's head. But also, it does teach kids to be inventive and everything. You got Phineas and Ferb, two brothers that are, that invent things, and they have their sister Candace. They're trying to stop, she's trying to stop them from inventing stuff and also bust them, and the mother is never there because the inventions always evaporate. And then there's this underlying story of Perry the Platypus, their pet platypus who's also a secret agent. Curse you, Perry the Platypus. And he's trying to stop the evil Dr. Doofenshmirtz. And yes, it's a silly show. Describing that right there, if you're not a fan of the show, you probably think that I'm an absolute idiot. But I will say that as entertaining as this show could be for kids, it's just as entertaining for adults. And in this movie, the animation is a little bit better. The animation was never bad in the original show, but this is a full-length movie. It's only like 78 minutes. And it's very entertaining for fans. If you're not a fan of the show, though, you're probably not going to enjoy this. So, brief plot. This isn't really going to be, much beyond just describing, how fun it was. They're having a day just like any other. Phineas and Ferb are. They're inventing stuff. They are inventing this, Perry the Platypus, bat mitten thing. Platypus bat mitten, if you will. And they're just having fun, inventing all this stuff with their friends. Isabella, Buford, and a whole bunch of other people, Hajit. And it's just really, really fun watching these kids just invent some stuff and everything. They're just enjoying themselves. But then there's the story of, well, if, Perry's cover is blown because he's a secret animal agent, then he will have to go live with another family. And he's grown bonded, he's bonded with Phineas and Ferb especially. And like any pet would, honestly. And kids would bond with their pet, even though he's a platypus and he doesn't do much. But he does do a lot. And eventually, this alternate dimensionator that Doofenshmirtz creates, because he has to just add an nader onto everything because he's just a crazy German scientist who does a lot but always gets foiled. He invents this alternate dimension aider, and they have to go to said alternate dimension where everything's all flipped around. Doofenshmirtz in the other dimension is, this crazy dictator who has taken over the entire tri-state area, and everybody else is under his thumb. There's a resistance in this dystopian alternate dimension, and, Candace is not this, bright-eyed, but, well-intentioned, but brother-busting sister. She is this this resistance fighter that's trying to protect her brothers, and everybody basically meets everybody. They meet their alternate selves, as like cue the Spider-Man memes. And really, there's a lot of musical montages. The musical montages are like the one thing I kind of check out on, even though they're fine for what they are. They're not necessarily entertaining for me, but they would be entertaining for kids. With this, after they go to this alternate dimension, they have to escape, and eventually it gets revealed that Perry the Platypus is this secret agent. He is Agent P, and oh, no, Phineas and Ferb, they just can't handle this. Well, Ferb can, but Phineas is kind of, because he's the more outspoken one, literally, because Ferb barely says anything. I mean, when he says stuff, it actually does mean something. It's kind of like an animated Jay and Silent Bob, only more entertaining. Oh, that's going to give me some hate. But Phineas isn't happy because he's like, we could have helped you. We invent all this stuff and everything. But then it turns out, if the cover's blown, all that and everything, it's a lot of entertainment. It's really what it comes down to. They almost get consumed by lava, and then they have to go through all these dimensions to get back to their own time. No, it's not Samurai Jack, and everything seems to be working out just fine. Then eventually, oh wait, no, robots are invading. This giant army of robots, these floating robots. And what happens is they have to, Phineas and Ferb go down to this secret, the secret underground lair where Perry, gets his agent missions from. Oh wait, all these inventions that they've done for years and years and years, there are these carbon copies of them, and all the kids get together, everybody gets together, and they fight back, and they basically destroy the other Doofenshmirtzes. That's hard to say. His, plans to invade their world and take over two tri-state areas. So also there's this overlying story of like, oh, the original Doofenshmirtz, he was raised by ocelots and a whole bunch of other stuff and everything, and he has all this crazy backstory as to why he is an evil scientist that doesn't really get to take over anything. He's kind of an idiot, and he's also foiled by a platypus that doesn't do much until he puts on the magical hat. But the other Doofenshmirtz, man, that's a really stupid name the more I think about it, just lost a toy train. That's the reason why he went nuts. And when he gets reunited with said toy train, oh no, all of a sudden he decides to just stop everything, and he goes back to his own time, and then, oh yeah, he gets arrested, and everything's good in the other dimension and this dimension. But because Agent P's cover was blown, he would have to go to another family unless they use an amnesia ray. And it was actually kind of funny because Doofenshmirtz said, I never created any amnesia invention. I think I'd remember something like that. That was funny. It's funny. Forget-me-nots. That was pretty funny. Actually, that's the best, type of flower for amnesiacs. Forget-me-nots. Moving on. They they decide to just wipe everybody's memory clean. Do we forget the best day ever, or do we lose our pet? And Ferb even says, well, we've had many great days, but we only have our pet. That's a nice kind of bonding thing. It's silly, but then because Isabella, this girl has always liked Phineas, she's like, so we won't remember any of this? She kisses him, and he's like, wait, and then their memories get wiped. Everything's good, and that's basically the end of the movie. So is it by any means a great movie? No. I mean, but if you're a fan of the show, you will enjoy the show. It's just entertainment. It's like 3-4 episodes put together, and it's, put into the form of a kid's movie, and it was put on Disney, and then it was put on Disney Plus, because now Disney Plus, Disney Plus has every single goddamn Disney franchise just right there, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But if you're a fan of the show, really, I would recommend checking this out. Yes, it's 9 years old, but it is still pretty entertaining. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.